understand.
Yeah, so for me it's very
Thank
tough
you, Raj.
to,
That's
for me it's
fine.
very tough to find.
Okay, just share with us what you have been able to find out. Okay. All right. So let's start with, I really appreciate your good work and your hard work and your efforts on this. Basically, I want to see how you input into what we are doing. So let's start. Shall we start with Richard, please? Let me know if you want to share a screen or you want to present from your notes. Anything is fine. I'll fill in the gap.
Sharing my screen, so I'm joining from my laptop now.
Okay, that's fine. Let's see. I have to give you access to share the screen. Okay, I think that would be where I'm, Raj.
Yes. So who shall I make host?
Oh, you can be host, or if you want to make me host, that's fine. But if you give us access to share screen, anyone can share screen, that'll be fine. As it is now, can anyone share the screen, please? Okay, let me stop screen share. Yes, so Richard, please, can you try to share a screen and let's see if it goes? Otherwise, then Raj will help us.
Okay, let me share my screen. The host can, yeah, it's not allowing.
It's not allowing you to share.
Try again.
Okay, now I think it should. One sec. I've joined with my laptop. Can you let me in, sir?
Yeah. Try now.
Okay. Good. I think you have double devices there, so.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so I'm gonna share my screen.
All right, Rich.
All right, let's go for it. Okay, so can you all see my screen now?
Yes, yes.
Yes, we can see. It's very colorful.
Okay, so my question was to look at the Mental Capacity Act. Yeah, the Mental Capacity Act 2005. Oh, battery is running low. Oh, crazy. Sorry, my battery is running. Let me get my charger. Sorry.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So my work was on the Mental Capacity Act 2005.
Yes.
And I've got images to demonstrate that law of the mental capacity is got to do with the person's, how the individual.
Yes.
I want to use your terms now.
Well done. Good student.
Yeah, how the individual's mind works in terms of whether they have capacity to make decision, and you can see the person's brain, somebody thinking, demonstrating, giving them the opportunity to make a decision.
Well done.
And then I've also got professionals here. So in a way, the mental capacity also is about professionals involved in making the decision, and also the service user.
Right.
And I want to say that if the right thing is done, we are all happy over here. Yeah. Now, so the Mental Capacity Act, which is abbreviated MCA, has been in force since 2007, and it applies to England and Wales. And the primary purpose of the Mental Capacity Act is to promote safeguard decision making within a legal framework. So what we're saying here is that this is a legal requirement. It has to be done the right way to fulfill all the legalities. And like I think, sir, you explained to us the other time.
Yeah.
This is also to protect you, the professional, in case of any occurrences.
Yes.
In court, you will be able to defend yourself as in what decisions you made, where it was written, and all of those things.
Yeah.
This is done in two ways. So the two ways where we get this to function is by empowering people to make decisions for themselves wherever possible. That means that it's not always possible for people to make their own decision.
That's right.
Sometimes they may have capacity. That means their brains are functioning well, and so they may be able to make their own decision. But sometimes they will not. So it empowers people to make decisions for themselves wherever possible, and by protecting people who lack capacity by providing a flexible framework that places individuals at the heart of decision making. In other words, where people cannot make decision, decision is made with reference to their best interests.
Great.
So we assume that if they were to have capacity, what would have been their wish?
Yes.
In other words, we can go back to look into what they've written down. I mean, what they have instructed their legal representatives.
Yes.
Not people who have forgotten the name of that. People who inherit them. What was that called? Next of kin. Not next of kin. What was from you said? Next of kins haven't got that much power, but it's their legal representatives who do. That's taken into consideration. But we're also saying that it also allows people to plan ahead for a time in future when they might lack the capacity. And that's for a number of reasons. Now, we are saying that people may lack capacity due to the following factors. It could be due to the fact that they've been stricken down by stroke or brain injury. That could be in an accident, or it could be a mental health problem, or it could be dementia, or it could be a learning disability, preventing them from making their own decision. Confusion, drowsiness, or unconsciousness because of an illness of the treatment for it. Or it could be substance misuse. You know, sometimes people go on drugs and, you know, it sort of affects the way their brains function. So any of these could be the cause. Responsible for it. Now, we're saying that there are 5 key principles underpinning mental capacity. And it's useful to consider all the 5 principles chronologically from principle 1.
Now don't close.
Yes, go on.
So we're saying that
शोर मचा रहे इसलिए गुस्सा किया था बंद करना पड़ती.
Lalita, you are not muted, please.
I'm so sorry.
No worries, that's fine. We know you are a problem. That's fine. Yeah, thank you. Yes, Richard, please continue.
So what we're saying is that there are 5 key principles that governs the Mental Capacity Act, and it's been done in a chronological order. And the interesting thing is that from principle 1 to principle 3, it applies to it is applicable when this is coming. So when the person has capacity, we can. You have
a minute more.
Oh, okay. I need to speed up. So when the person has capacity, we can just restrict to principle 1 to 3. So the first principle is that we must assume that everybody has the capacity. Every adult has a right to make their own decision. It is something that has to be assumed when we are using the Mental Capacity Act. This means you can't assume that someone cannot make a decision for themselves.
Absolutely.
Because they have a particular medical condition. Number 2, individuals being supported to make their own decision. A person must be given all practicable help You have to provide all help before anyone treat them as not being able to make their own decision. Give them all the help. This means you should make every effort to encourage and support people to make decisions for themselves. Encourage them to do that. If lack of capacity established, it is still important that you involve the person as far as possible in making decisions. And number 3, people who have the right to make decisions. People have the right to make decisions that others might regard as unwise or eccentric. You cannot treat someone as lacking capacity for this reason. So you cannot say, oh, their decision is unwise. You can't rubbish what they are deciding. You can only guide them. Everyone has their own beliefs and preferences, which may not be the same as those of other people. So you don't try and then enforce your belief system into someone.
Sure.
But principle 4 then comes into play. Anything done on behalf of a person who lacks capacity must be done in their best interest. When we establish that the person hasn't got capacity, then principle 4 and 5 applies. And that means that whatever we are deciding must be what they would have taken if they had capacity.
Yeah.
And then the last one, someone making a decision or acting on behalf of a person who lacks capacity must consider whether it is possible to decide or act in a way that will interfere less with a person's right or freedom of action, or whether there is a need to decide or act at all. If any intervention should be weighed up in the particular circumstance of that case.
Yeah.
I think my time is up.
Your time is up. Well done. And you've done well. You've covered much of what is required. So we all understand. So in this case, in terms of the assignment, you will be required just to summarize it. And you have done a good work. If you presented this in the assignment, you passed that question. Well done. Thank you. Let's clap for Richard. We applaud you. Right. So shall we go on straight away to Flora, please? Flora, you have 5 minutes. Just give us what it's ready. We know you didn't have a lot of time. So
if you could bear with me, please.
That is fine. Thank you. Okay, so while Flora prepares, Lalita, are you ready? Hello, Lalita. There's a short video I'll need to show us.
Hi, Krish. Krish, see, I didn't prepare this much.
No problem. Whatever is ready, that's fine. I know you're doing childcare.
No, only point is my daughter is not well, so I need to take care of her also. She has a mild fever. I just go through this advocacy code of practice, and what I understand only that 3 or 4 points I can discuss with you.
That is fine.
First of all, the meaning of advocate, actually, what I understand, advocates represent individuals or speak on their behalf to ensure that their rights are supported. So basically, advocacy means, as per Section 67 of the CARE Act 2014,
Good.
Advocacy Code of Practice imposes a duty on local authorities to arrange for an independent advocate to be available to represent and support certain individual for the purpose of facilitating, or we can say to support people who are unable to ensure best interest.
Yeah.
So basically, the ultimate objective of Advocacy Code of Practice are to ensure that the individual's views, voice, or experience are heard and treated with appropriate way.
Good.
Yeah. And the deprivation of liberty safeguards procedures designed to protect individuals' right.
That's right.
If the care or treated which they receive in care home, it's, so the basically that deprivation of liberty safeguards, it's a procedures to check whether the care and treatment which they receive are in a proper way or not. So that's what I understand about these two advocacy care of practice.
Well done, Lolita. Thank you very much.
I'm so sorry, Krish. I'm not able to, make it in a proper way. But
Don't
yes,
worry at all. You have presented, and that's the most important thing. I know you are multitasking. You are doing childcare and a lot of other things, and you are still participating in the lesson. And I really appreciate it.
And the best part is, because of this small presentation, I learned so much.
Wow, that's the purpose of it.
So yeah, and that's the best part, because now I can understand what's the advocacy care of practice is actually.
Very good. So
yeah,
my objective.
So thanks to you.
My objective is met, and that's the purpose of.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, this kind of cooperative. Yeah. So well done, Lalita.
Thank you so much.
Well, good presentation. Thank you. Yes. So okay, I think that's Florence. Flora. Yeah. Okay. Okay. This is colorful. Okay, so Flora,
can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but I think there are two devices that are not. But if we mute one, please. This is nice.
Okay.
If you just mute one and then use the one you want to present on. Perfect. Yes. Be ready for you. I'm enjoying this lesson a lot. I'm learning from all of you. Okay, so Flora, you have the floor now.
Okay. I was on mute, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, so mine was in relation to obviously what we are doing, Mental Capacity Act. Mine was to do a quick research on the Care Act 2014 in relation to principles in relation to capacity and advocacy.
Okay.
Okay, and then also to talk about the Equality Act.
Yeah.
20.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just did a quick research on what Care Act is.
Well done.
The Care Act helps us to improve people's independence and well-being. It also makes clear that local authorities must provide or arrange services that help prevent people developing needs for care and support or delay people deteriorating such that they would need ongoing care and support. I believe that's why we go through all these lengthy QCQ thing.
It is.
And then have to go through the council to be able to. So, I mean, this, like the lady was saying, has really enlightened me.
Wonderful.
Yeah, so we go to the next one. So what does the Care Act say about advocacy? So both Care Act and the Mental Health Capacity Act recognize the same areas of difficulty, and both require a person with difficulties to be supported and represented either by family or friends or by an advocate in order to communicate their views, wishes, and feelings.
Yes.
So it means that the service user, can get somebody to represent him when it comes to making some of these decisions.
Yes, and let me come in. Let me come in there. These last 3 points are very important. The service user may not be able to clearly communicate their views, wishes, and feelings without an advocate, because in some circumstances, they may not be listened to. But if there is an advocate, the advocate emphasizes the views, the wishes, the preferences, and the feelings of the individual, and it has to be taken on board. Good point there. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Then we go to, so who can be an advocate? You know, so people, friends can be advocate, family carers can be an advocate for service users if they want them to be. It can be really helpful to get support from someone close to you who you can trust. So people you can trust, or service users can trust, they can be advocates, okay, just to help them represent or put their views across, for it to be obviously heard by people in charge of making these decisions, or help supporting them, basically. And Section 16 of the Care Act 2014 imposes a duty on local authorities. I think I've talked about this already.
Yes, so I like the way you are referring to the sections, just as Lalita also did, referring to. So when you write and you make reference to the section, that's very good. Yeah, go on.
Okay. So Section 67 of the Care Act 2014 imposes a duty on local authorities to arrange for an independent advocate to be available to represent and support certain persons for the purpose of facilitating those persons' involvement in the exercise of functions by local authorities.
Good.
Yeah, okay. Who appoints an independent mental capacity advocate? So who can appoint them? They must also be appointed when the local authority supervisory board believes that without an independent mental capacity advocate, either the person or the RPR will be unable to exercise one or more of their relevant rights, or without an IMCA, either the person or the PRP will be unlikely to exercise one or more of their relevant rights.
Good.
And we go to the next one. So my next task was the Equality Act.
You got a minute more.
Just a minute. Okay, the Act provides a legal framework to protect the rights of individuals and advance equality of opportunities for all. It provides Britain with a discrimination law which protects individuals from unfair treatment and promotes a fair and more equal society. So regardless of your background, your health, whatever, you still have the right to be protected. And the Equality Act does support with that. So how does mental capacity relate to equality?
Yes.
How does it relate to equality? The Mental Capacity Act is a very important law for people with difficulties understanding or speaking. It says that everyone must be assumed to be able to make their own decisions.
Good.
And everyone has a right to be supported to make those decisions, even if other people think or other people don't agree with them.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's where I got to.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's applaud Flora also. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, your slides are very colorful. And I'm very happy that all three of you were able to, in spite of the fact that you are very busy family people, you are able to put effort into it, and you researched Richard, Lalita, and Flora, and that is very impressive. It's also good to see how you were able to bring the point out so clearly. Well done. Good. All right, so has Flora stopped presenting? Flora?
Yes, I think I've stopped, huh?
Have you stopped presenting?
Okay, let me.
Thank you very much. Well done. That was very impressive. So we're going back to our slide to pick it up from where you have presented. So Richard presented on Mental Capacity Act 2205. And when you're using the act, make sure you bring the year. That is what consolidates it. And then as well as the code of practice. And then Flora presented on the Care Act 2014, the principles in relation to, and then code of practice from Lalita. And we also look at the deprivation of rights, the deprivation of liberty, safeguards, practice to supplement the mental capacity code of practice. Now, I'm going to fill in some gaps from what we have presented. I'm also going to be talking about two-stage test we did previously. I'm going to also talk about the 5 key principles, and then we continue from there. Is that okay? There is a video I really want us to watch, and I think we can do that towards the end of the lesson. Okay, so let's look at this one first. Right, so these are the 5 key principles. We looked at that previously. I think Richard covered part of it. So the first principle, these are the 5 key principles. We looked at that as well in our previous lesson. Here they are. Presume capacity. Provide practicable support. Allow the person to make unwise decisions. Don't rule it out. Best interest, less restrictive. So these are the 5 key principles. Okay, you have the notes on it in your previous unit, the unit that we finished last week. All these are in the notes and in the PowerPoint. So please refer to them and read to consolidate your ideas so you can use it to support your assignment. Okay, so best interest, less restrictive measures should be taken. All right. Now, so these are the 2K stage assessment of capacity. That's the second, the last point that we have there. So we also look at that under our previous unit. So what it says here is that you have to consider, does the person have an impairment of the mind or brain? When you look at that colorful presentation Richard made, he was talking about the brain and how the decision-making is processed. Or are there some disturbances affecting the way the person's mind works? Does it matter whether the person has impairment and as to whether it is temporary or permanent? So that's the first thing to think about. And these are the areas to look at what could be causing the impairment or the disturbance or the damage in the brain and its function. Richard also covered those things as well. And the second stage is to ask the question, does the person have an impairment or a disturbance in the functioning of the brain? And you have to look at whether these are the functional areas of the assessment, whether the person understands the relevant information being given to the person as to what decision should be taken, whether the person is able to retain, first understand the information, to retain the relevant information, to be able to process it, ponder over it, reflect upon it. Number 3, is the person able to use or weigh the relevant information in order to take a decision to the right or to the left in terms of weighing the advantages and disadvantages to be able to make the decision. And then is the person able to communicate his or her decision as to whether I agree or I do not agree, I concur or I do not. Is the person able to communicate the decision, not only verbally, like last week I showed you, I explained to you how you can also take decisions or affirmations from the service user by the use of facial expression, body language, and otherwise. Yeah, so these are what you need to ascertain, and these are the descriptions of it. They are all in your PowerPoint for the previous lesson. Please read and consolidate, right? So we're going to continue with the lesson. Now, another aspect of the current legislation. So we've finished with this. We finished talking about the current legislation, regulation, and course of practice. You only are required to summarize 5 of these, and your work is done. Okay. Then the next thing is, so in relation to the second question, the principles of deprivation of liberty. What are the principles? We talked about deprivation of liberty, and Flora also explained that as well. Now, there are some examples of deprivation of liberty, and we want to look at those examples. There is a video I want us to watch. The first video is in relation to what is called the HL versus the United Kingdom judgment, Burnwood judgment. This was something that happened in Burnwood, okay? And this will all be there for you to access. You can read later on, but there's a video attached to it that summarizes it, and there are notes there. When you click on this link, it takes you there. But for now, I'm going to escape this link because I have it opened down already. So I'm just going to go on to it, and I hope we can watch it. I hope we can watch it. Where is that? Okay. Let's go with it and see if it opens for us. And I should be able to share my screen. Okay. Sound, share sound, yes. All right, so we're going to watch this video together. Please let me know if you cannot hear the video. This is the first example of deprivation of liberty, yeah? Please, are you able to hear the sound?
Yes.
Okay, and are you able to see the video as well?
No.
Wow. Okay, let me see.
Are you showing the sound?
Yeah, I was trying to show a video. Let me see. Share sound. Trying to see. I'll try it again and see. Sure. All right. Okay. Here we go. Let me know if you can see it. Perfect. So this is the video on the HL versus United Kingdom, yeah? Can you hear the sound, please?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's watch. After that, we're going to discuss what we watched.
He's standing in the corridor, bashing his head. There was blood all over him, all over the walls, all over the doors. He looked so neglected. His mother used to play the piano very well, and she used to use that to calm him down when he was a child, and I think he probably remembers. He never forgets anything. Since he's been living with us, he's actually grown 2.5 inches because he holds his head up now instead of walking around with it bowed. And he likes to have a little bedtime routine where he jumps about on the bed and laughs. And then we usually put his star projector on. He watches the stars until he goes to sleep. It was a different driver that day, and he took a different route. The last person to get on the bus was very disruptive, which upset him, and he just was inconsolable. When he got to the centre, it just escalated into a very difficult day. Apparently, he was admitted to the severe behavioural unit in an unprecedented amount of time, in 20 minutes of arriving, and we weren't allowed to go and visit him.
Let's read the information. Have you all got that?
Yes.
Okay.
The doctor says, oh, it's a clinical decision to keep him in hospital. Not what the clinical decision is, just that it is one. There's very little way back from that. There's no challenge for it, and the person's not able to say where they want to be.
As far as we were concerned, he was a member of our family that was missing. Our biggest fear was that he would think we'd abandoned him. Nothing could have prepared us for that visit at all. What we didn't realise was how much he'd suffered in there because he was deprived of his liberty.
You hear that? How much he would have suffered there because he was deprived of his liberty.
Yes.
And there's another information here. We are told that a form of restraint, remember we talked about restraint?
Yeah.
That they used there. Yeah.
We are told that it was a form of restraint that they used to use there, would be to stand on their feet and hold their arms by their side. And his toenails were black, and he actually lost his toenails when he came out because we believe that was caused by people standing on his feet.
I mean, it may have been before the Human Rights Act, but I mean, it's still basic rights you're entitled to. If you're not prepared to respect those, then they must be challenged. I mean, you can't just take people away because you feel like it. We took it to the European Court of Human Rights at the end of 1998, and in 2004 they made their judgment, and to find out that we'd actually been successful and won our challenge, and that the government were going to have to be forced to change the law was a really good thing.
Please read the information. Provide extra protection for the human rights of people who lack capacity and find themselves deprived of their liberty. This includes people with learning difficulties, mental health conditions, and older people in care homes.
To win at the European Court meant safety because we can go out without worrying that the same thing could happen again.
Previously, before this ruling, I mean, no one could ever speak for another adult when they don't have the capacity themselves. Along with the Mental Capacity Act now gives people some rights to be listened to, be consulted about various things in people's lives.
It wasn't just for H, it was because with all these autistic children growing up in the community, we really wanted them to have the confidence to go out without feeling they were going to be detained. He walks really well now. And he doesn't walk around with his fists clenched anymore. He holds his head up and he looks proud.
Human rights-based approach delivers better public services for everyone. Good. What do you think about that? There's relevant information here. So this is information about the individual we are talking about, or we just looked at. So this happened in the United Kingdom, and we will say that's Mr. and Mrs. E, who had the child in their custody to the case to court, appeal court, and then it had to go to the European Court of Human Rights. And that's another thing we're going to talk about. And the decision was taken there in favor of the service user. So this is, when you click on that link, you can read everything about it. It's all here. Because of time, we're not going to read. I'll implore your indulgence to read. What we watched is just a summary from the people in whose care this child was before this happened. But this is the detailed information with dates. So when you're writing, you can quote all of this. However, make sure you cite the reference. Put the reference there. It's there. That's what you have on the PowerPoint. Yeah. Any question? What do you think about the video we just watched now? What are your thoughts on it? Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, it's quite an interesting one. Because it still shows that people without capacity should still be listened to.
Absolutely.
And things should be done in their best interest.
Sure. Very good. That's a very good reflection and observation. So you also find out, in addition to what Richard said, you find out that, but for the actions, the legal actions of Mr. and Mrs. E, this child would just have been detained, may have even died there. You understand? If they had not gone to look for the child and identify that the child was not there and treated as a missing case, and they said the child was part of our family. The fact that the child has a health need doesn't make the child a less or a lesser human being. So that's very important. These are some of the reasons why these laws came into being, to support and defend people who are considered as the voiceless, the voice of the voiceless. So another principle of the deprivation of liberty is what we call Article 5 of the European Convention of Human Rights. So what does the Article 5? So there are different articles, start from 1. What does the Article 5 say? You have a look at that. Have that open down, and that is going to be part of your resources. So the European Convention on Human Rights is a full document. Here it is. I'll be happy if you have a read on it. European Convention on Human Rights, and it will be part of your resources. So please do read it. We're only looking for Article 5, which relates to human rights and what we're discussing. So we're going to Article 5. So this Article 2, this Article 5. All right. So what does Article 5 say? Article 5 says, it talks about rights to liberty and security. The individual, every individual has a right to their own liberty, freedom, and security. Everyone has the right to liberty and security of person. No one shall be deprived of his liberty except or save in the following cases and in accordance with a procedure prescribed by law. So what are the instances? 1, only when the lawful detention of a person after conviction is required by a competent court. So if there is a legal decision that the person should be detained, that is the only ground in relation to this. The person can be detained. Number 2, the lawful arrest or detention of a person for non-compliance with the lawful order of a court, or in order to secure the fulfillment of any obligation prescribed by the law. Again, that can only be by legal requirement. Number 3, the lawful arrest or detention of a person effected for the purpose of bringing him or her before the competent legal authority on reasonable suspicion of having committed an offense, or when it is reasonably considered necessary to prevent his committing of an offense or fleeing after having done so. Okay, so if it is required by law, either to prevent the person from committing an offense or because the person has committed an offense. So in all these cases, you see that it has to be a legal, authority. So the detention of a minor by lawful order, that's a young person, okay, underage, for the purpose of educational supervision, or his lawful detention for the purpose of bringing him before the competent legal authority, again, legal grounds. The lawful detention of persons for the prevention of or spreading of infectious diseases. So if the person is considered as having got the ability to, infect other people because the person has an infection that is contagious, the person can be detained. Okay. Other things apply there. The lawful arrest or detention of a person to prevent his effecting of an authorized entry into country. We know this in relation to immigration. People are detained because they don't have the right documentation for immigration purposes. Everyone who is arrested shall be informed promptly in a language which he or she understands of the reasons for his or her arrest and any charges made against him. Everyone charged with criminal offense has the following minimum rights. Some people don't know this, The person has a right to be informed promptly in a language he or she understands and in detail of the nature and cause of the accusation against him. The person must have adequate time and facilities for the preparation of his or her defense. So they have to provide, legal aid for a lawyer for the person to be able to defend themselves, to defend himself or herself in person or through legal assistance of his or her choosing. Legal assistance, it has to be provided if he or she has not sufficient means to pay for legal assistance. So that's legal aid to be given free when the interest of justice so require. And to examine and have examined witnesses against him or her, and to obtain the attendance and examination of witnesses on his behalf under the same conditions as witness against him, and to have the free assistance of an interpreter or so we have interpreters and what's the other? If he or she cannot understand or speak the language used in court. So these things have to prevail for the principle to be accurately met. So that's the second principle there. All right. Okay. So we're going to be stopping here for time. And if you have any question, please put it down. And when we meet on Wednesday, we'll look at the questions first before we continue. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes.
So very much. It's been an exciting session today with all the contributions you were all making and the presentations you made. So we're going to continue from here next week, and we'll fill in those gaps in the things that you shared, and then we'll continue. But it's a very short, very interesting. Thank you very much for today.
Sir, so in terms of the assignment,
for this one or previous one?
No, the original one, the first one.
Yes.
The previous one. How do you want it represented? Should we answer them in an essay form or according to the questions? You take this question, you write a question, you answer it. Next one, you write, and how do you want it presented?
Okay, good question. So you see the assignment template? which has the assignments?
Yes.
Has the assignment. So that the assignment questions are on the assignment template.
Yes, sir.
Show you, where is that briefly? So, okay, so you will see the assignment template. Where is that? Okay, I can't see that readily. So the one that says assignment template, you go for that one, and you just answer the questions.
So, sir, are you sharing that with us?
I'm trying to, but I can't find it readily. I can't find it readily, so I'm not able to share that. Okay, let me share one from the previous unit for you to see. I don't know where that one is saved. So it will come like, where is that? Okay. So this is a different assignment though, but you will see it like this. It will say assignment template and task breakdown.
Are you sharing, sir?
Oh, sorry. I was sharing, but I was just looking at it myself. I'm sorry. Yeah, so it will come like this. You will see it as the title is assignment template and task breakdown. So check and see if you have something like that. In the resources for the previous one, you will see it assignment template. So you will have the scenario, then it will have the question. So the question is already set there. The question is the one in red and maybe, sorry, in black and maybe red. What is in blue is just my addition to break it down for you to know what you need to do or explain it further. So the one that you should focus on mainly is the key question. This one is my addition to break down the question for you to know what is required. So you just answer the question underneath. So while you answer, it just goes down. So you will be writing if in an essay form. For example, this one says summarize. Okay, this is not a question. This is a different assignment I'm using anyway. So just summarize the key legal framework here. You finish, then you go to the second question. Once you put the cursor here, or you know what to do anyway. And then so you are answering the question on the assignment template. We designed it for you. So you write it in essay form.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a very good question. All right, I won't hold you much.
So is there a word limit?
We try not to give word limits, but we encourage students to just focus on the requirement of the question. Once the question is answered, that's it. So we also encourage students to pay attention to the command words. So if it says discuss, you discuss. If it says explain, you explain. If it says evaluate, you evaluate. Because that's what we want to see that the question is accurately answered. Thank you. You're asking questions. Yeah, we'll go into it more on Wednesday. Yeah. Because you have children and we committed to up to 8 o'clock, let it not be said that the teacher held the students for longer. Thank you so very much. I really enjoyed the time with you, and I'll see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lalita, Richard, and Flora. And thank you, Raj,
Thank you so much.
for facilitating the session for us. So, Raj.
Thank you, Krish.
You're welcome. You are free to.
You have a pleasant night, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.